Riley, great coach, has been there a long time. He's stepping down at the end of this year after 21 years at the helm, and it'll end a run of 75 consecutive years of a Riley being in charge of a Division I hockey team. How crazy is that?
That is crazy. Let's have a listen right now.
Well, pleased to be joined by Army West Point head coach Brian Riley. Brian, tell me, how did the Capital Hockey Classic come together?
Yeah, so it was a year ago or so. Don Fishman from obviously the Caps or the facility called and said, "Hey, with Army Navy football being played down here, we'd love to have a hockey game." And I thought, yeah, like that would be great to be down there during the Army Navy game. And then he said, "Well, who do you think would be a good opponent?" And I knew that we had Penn State scheduled to come in here this year, and I just figured they travel well. So and Guy Godowski, coach at Penn State, his son plays for us, so it seemed like a good match, and he was all about it. So yeah, we're really thankful that we're getting this opportunity.
What is the significance, Coach, of having the game here in D.C. with all the ties to the military?
Well, that's like we're going to be able to play down in D.C., which I don't need to tell you is basically the home of our military, right? And a lot of West Point grads down there, a lot of people that serve in the Army down there, they've never probably had a chance to see us play. So I just know how much pride that those that serve take in their respective services. And so I would imagine that we will get a good Army turnout for sure.
So I believe this is the 8th all-time meeting between Army and Penn State. And if I remember correctly, last year's game was crazy.
Oh,
don't even
bring up last year's game. Like,
tell me about that game.
We were up 6-2 with 26 minutes to go.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember looking at the clock, still feeling like, oh gosh, there's a lot of time left. And wouldn't you know it, in the last minute of the second period, I'm just trying to get out of the period up 6-2. And we turned the puck over. They scored, and then they come out and score in the first minute of the third. And I was like, this is not going how I had hoped. But yeah, so that was one of those games as a coach, at least on our side, you'd like to forget about. But yeah, hopefully we can get a different result. But obviously Penn State, Big Ten school, they have a great deal of skill. And so we're going to have to match that with a great deal of will, right, to hopefully put ourselves in a position to win a hockey game down in D.C.
I want to hear a little bit more about the Godowskis, Guy and Matt going head to head. How cool is that?
No, it's cool because I can certainly relate to it. I mean, growing up at West Point, myself and my three brothers all played against my dad. And then a few years back, my two sons played at Mercyhurst against me. So I know exactly what they're going through. And I told Mac a year ago before we were getting ready to play, you know what? Just go out and play. Like don't try to do anything more than you need to. You're a great player. You will be fine. And I think he had a point or two that game. And even for Guy, I told him, wow, just enjoy every minute of it, because as I get ready to retire from coaching, some of the highlights of my career will go back to when I had the opportunity to coach against my own kids.
So you brought it up there, Brian. This is going to be your last year. You announced that before the start of the season. 21 years. It's going to come to bring to an end 75 consecutive years of O'Reilly being at the helm of West Point. What does it mean to you that you guys, your entire family, has racked up more than 1,000 wins for the Black Knights?
So 75 years is what I really think of. Like, and honestly, Tariq, like as a kid growing up, my dad kept the gold medal in his top drawer, and I would always take it out and show people. And I thought to myself, like, why does dad stay at West Point? Like, he's a gold medal coach. He was a great player at Dartmouth. He played in the Olympics. But now, having sat kind of where he sat, I know why he stayed. Like, the opportunity to coach the young men and be around the young men and women that I get to be around every day makes this the most rewarding and humbling coaching. I don't even call it a job, opportunity in all of sports. So I knew that this year was going to be year 75. And I thought, wow, that seems like a pretty good year to maybe. It can't last forever. Although my son Jack will be on the staff here with Zach and honestly, Zach McKelvey, a young
legend
man that I recruited here, and that he and I have coached together for 10 years. There is no better person anywhere to take this program over. And honestly, I don't want to hold him back anymore, because I know that he's going to bring this program to a different level, and I'm excited to watch him and what he does with the program. But back to the 75 years, there's nothing that I will ever be able to do to repay West Point and college hockey for all that is given, not only me, but the Riley family.
That was great. So one of my favorite things that's happened the past couple of years, you guys are an NCAA team, not an NHL team, but the Stanley Cup seems to always find its way to take Rink. How cool is it that the last two champions, their owners are West Point grads?
Well, exactly. So when we recruit young men, I know a lot of schools recruit young men and say, hey, come to our school and you will have a chance to play in the NHL. Now, what I tell recruits is, hey, you come to West Point and you can own an NHL team. By the way, win Stanley Cup. So, you know what? Really, really special to have Vegas and Florida here with the Cup. And it's always amazing to see the reaction of those players when they're around West Point and when they're around the cadets. I think they're just blown away by the history and the tradition and the young men and women that actually are the cadets here at West Point today. So that's been really, really neat. Hopefully, you know what, in the future, they'll be back, or maybe there'll be another West Point grad who owns one of these teams. It could be your son someday.
who for people who don't know, is a recruit and will be coming in next year to play hockey at West Point, which is awesome. Brian, this was great. Let's leave it there. I know there's going to be a lot of active and retired military in the stands on Thursday cheering hard for West Point. Thanks again and good luck.
All right. Thanks for having me.